Guys, do you see what I see?
It's so blinding. I can't see it.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. Does anyone have a pair of sunglasses?
Here you go.
Woo! Tell us what you see. Tell us what you see.
Don't hold back on us. What is it?
Guys, I see the brighter side.
The Brighter Side, a show that shows the brighter side of the world, sharing inspirational stories to uplift people's spirits and hearts, putting the light on others who are brightening up the world. Positive is our motto, and we shine it proudly.
Welcome to The Brighter Side. I am your host, Sarah Albertson. You know, we're always surrounded by bad news such as terrorism, car accidents, politics, and so much more. So for the next 30 minutes, let's try to be more optimistic about the world we live in with real-life examples of people who are trying to do something good in our world. Our guest today is Andrew Zucker. Andrew is a student at Nassau Community College and a host on our WHPC show, The Homestretch. Andrew joins us here today because Andrew has a very interesting life story, and Andrew has experienced a lot of things, and some that are not always so great. But Andrew came here today to share his story in hopes of showing people that when life throws difficult roads at you, that there's always a positive light at the end of it. Hi, Andrew. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Sarah, and thank you for having me today. So it's an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. I'm really happy you're here, man. So, Andrew, let's start off. I know you spent some time in Israel, and I think that's pretty cool, in my opinion. I don't get to travel a lot, so do you want to explain how that experience was?
Actually, thankfully, I've had the opportunity to spend time in Israel on more than one occasion. I actually had my second birthday in Israel. They coincidentally. My aunt's wedding was the day before my second birthday, so I had that opportunity there. My mom actually has a very cute picture of me at the pre-wedding party, grabbing at the cake because I thought it was my birthday cake.
Oh, that's so cute.
So that was the first time I was in Israel. Then had other opportunities. When my brother spent the year there, we went to go visit him. My sister spent the year, we went to go visit her. One of my cousins got married there. I went to go see that. And then last year, I took the year off after high school, and I spent the 236 days in the land of Israel. Very interesting 236 days of my life.
What did you do during those 236 days?
Well, the sole purpose of me going to Israel for what was actually supposed to be more than 236 days was supposed to be for 10 months. It was supposed to be going to a yeshiva. It was supposed to be a Jewish school where you learned most of the day, you learned most of the Jewish law and everything. You continued on because I did go to a yeshiva since 4-year-old nursery through all of high school and everything. And this was supposed to be, or what most post-high school Jewish students do. They go to Israel and they really hone their learning skills and really understand and fully grasp the idea of Judaism and religion as a whole. And that's what I intended to go there for. Unfortunately, that's not how it turned out. 11 weeks to the day of my arrival in Israel, I was sitting in a place called Ramat Beit Shemesh Aleph, doing my community service for the day. I was a big brother for a little boy, very sweet little boy. He was about 5 years old. He had 4 siblings, all girls that ranged from age 2 to 10. His parents didn't really have enough time for him, so they asked for a big brother to come in and help. And I did, actually. That moment, I was playing a game of Clue, and I got a notification on my phone from the J-Post app saying there had been a terror attack in the Gush Etzion, which is, according to certain places and certain people, it's the Green Line, or it's past the Green Line, which is considered the West Bank. But for many Jews live in those areas in the Gush Etzion. I have cousins that live in Efrat, which is within the Gush Etzion region. And it just said, American teenager killed in terror attack. I didn't really give it any thought. I received a phone call about 10 minutes later from my mother, who was hysterically crying, and it still rings in my ear every single day. When I go to sleep every night, I hear my mom screaming to the phone in a very frightened voice. She said the same thing to me twice. Andrew, where are you? I said, Mom, I'm in Ramat Beit Shemesh. She said, Andrew, where are you? I said, Mom, I'm in Ramat Beit Shemesh. What's up? She says, Ezra's been shot. Now, I want to give a little backstory on Ezra. Ezra was my roommate, or one of my 3 roommates. When we first got to Israel, the first day, we come down to, I guess you can say, the assembly hall. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Because we didn't really, back in high school, we didn't really have assembly halls. We just did all of our stuff in the gym. But, in this school in Israel, we had an assembly hall, I guess you can call it. We all gathered there. You get your rooms and everything. Now, I had the fortunate pleasure of knowing two guys going in. They were two very close friends of mine. And thankfully, they were two of my three assigned roommates. Now, the fourth guy's name was Ezra Schwartz. He's from Sharon, Massachusetts. And the first time I met him was when we got up to our room. And although I only got to know him for 11 weeks, they were very fun 11 weeks. It was a very happy time. He showed me that he always tried to make people smile, make people laugh whenever the mood was down. So he kind of did show me that there is happiness to other things in life. And even though, it was three guys in the room that knew each other, and he was the odd man out, he quickly essentially rose to the top of the room. He was the life of the party in the room. People used to come to him all the time. We were room 20. We were actually called R20 Squad. And to this day, we still talk about we still have that group chat. And we still talk about that stuff. But all three of my roommates and three other people were on a van heading to the Gush. They were heading to a place called Osvegon, which at the time it was just an empty land being turned into an area for the soldiers that were guarding the Gush Etzion Junction to, during their free time, go use the restroom, get some nice drinks. There was a little workout center for them if they had some time off. And Osvegon was dedicated in memory of, I don't know if you remember, June 2014, 3 Israeli teens went missing.
Yes, I do remember
and
that.
And were assumed to have been kidnapped. And the search for them for roughly 3 weeks, they turned out to be, when they finally found them, they were dead, unfortunately. So this area, Osvegon, is actually about 20 feet behind the bus stop where they were kidnapped from, and was dedicated in their memory. And my friends, for their community service, were on their way to that area, Osvegon, to help spruce up the place and clean it and make it nicer for all these soldiers. And it was very weird when I first heard it. My mom had found out from a very close friend of mine who actually went to a different school, Kevin. Kevin was neighbors with Jason. Jason was one of my roommates. Jason was one of the guys in the van. And they were pulling up to the area. They were about to make a left to go into the area. And they were stopped in traffic at the Gush Etzion Junction itself. And they were like a small minivan. And Jason said, he was on his phone, and next thing he heard, it sounded like paintballs being shot at them. At first, he was like, I don't know what's going on. And then he realized bullets were coming through the window. Glass was shattering everywhere. And he just ducked. In fire drills in school, they used to tell you stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to Jason the next day, he said that's exactly what I did. I'm like, but Jason, it's not a fire. He's like, we were being fired at. I'm like, oh, okay. So there's a little sense of humor in here. This is a little weird. But yeah, he stopped, dropped, and rolled, as did, 4 of the other 5 remaining guys. It took him about a minute to gather his whereabouts when he realized that our roommate Ezra was slumped over. He was the only one still sitting on a seat. His butt was still on the seat, but his head was leaning on the ground. And I don't want to get into too many details and too specific details because it's kind of gory. But essentially, Jason noticed that in the back of Ezra's head, there was a hole. And there appeared to be blood gushing out of that hole. Jason took his sweatshirt off his back and tried wrapping it around my friend's head. And they screamed for medics and soldiers and everything. And I must admit that the response time by the police and the medics and everything was amazing. He said that within a minute or two of this all happening, they had already had 15 soldiers near them. They had cop cars, ambulances. Unfortunately, even 1 billion medics couldn't have brought back Ezra. He legally was dead about an hour afterwards, because the way the government works there is you can't pronounce someone dead until they get to the hospital, but unofficially, a friend of mine was one of the first responding medics, and he said he was dead upon impact. He died in my friend's arm, and for him to this day, he kind of has an issue dealing with it. For him, it's more of a, it happened, but, you know, I don't really want to talk about it. He goes to events all the time for people that have been involved in victims of terror attacks, but he doesn't like to openly talk about it. You know, he jokes about it from time to time, but he doesn't feel like he was harmed. He feels bad for Ezra's parents, Ruth and Ari. And Ruth and Ari, they are, out of anyone, have the hardest time to deal with this. Now, Ezra comes from Massachusetts, and which means he's a huge Patriots fan. And so is the rest of the family. And as you well know, or as we all know, Patriots were in this past Super Bowl. Robert Kraft is Jewish. And Robert Kraft, for this Super Bowl, did something that, and this actually isn't even the first time he did anything for them, but Robert Kraft, for years, has been donating money to Israel. He has his own stadium in Israel called Kraft Stadium, which is where all the teenagers play flag football and soccer and everything. Last year, when Ezra passed away, Robert Kraft came personally himself, went to Ezra's parents and sat down and mourned the loss with them. He called them. He was there the day after the funeral. President Obama called the family 6 days later. Robert Kraft was there the next day. The President of the United States took 6 days to do this. Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, was there within a day. That's amazing. Robert Kraft didn't have to do it at all. He didn't have to call. He didn't have to go. He didn't have to say anything. But to me, it was an unbelievable story and an unbelievable what he did. He even had Rob Gronkowski come to the house at one point and take pictures of them, sign autographs. He sent them numerous artifacts of memorabilia. And then this past Super Bowl, me and my friends bought one of their sons, one of the Schwartz sons, one of Ezra's brothers, as a 13th birthday present. We bought him tickets to the Super Bowl for him and his father, and we paid for his flight. Robert Kraft called the family and said, "Hey, I've got 2 free tickets. You guys want them?" He said, "Oh, well, we already, our son and our husband are going." He said, "Oh, how many more people left in your family?" So Robert Kraft took the 2 tickets that we gave Ezra's family and the 2 he was going to give the family, and then gave them an additional 2. So he gave the family 4 tickets, and then he took the tickets that we gave them and made sure they all sat next to each other. He gave them VIP seats. He flew them from Boston to Texas on the press charter flight, which is first class and everything. He didn't have to do that. He gave them access to VIP seats before the game, met the players. After the game, I saw pictures of the boys literally bathing in doused in water, taking pictures with Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Malcolm Butler. They had the times of their life, and I owe it. They owe it to Robert Kraft. I owe it to Robert Kraft, and the entire world shows that Robert Kraft. None of this was published in the Post, the Times, the Journal. Nothing. It was Robert Kraft silently did this all. And one of the lessons that I've learned from all of this, whether it be through the community coming together and doing this, because the amount of support that the Schwartz family got from the community was outstanding. Within 2 days after Ezra's death, my school, we set up a GoFundMe to help, give them money in their time of need for the funeral and any other costs they may have had, or for grief counseling. Within 2 days, we had raised $20,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I think within a week, we'd raised $50,000, which might not seem like a lot of money, but that's still, in my opinion, a lot. $50,000. People were just like, "We're really sorry, and this is the only way that we could mourn with you. We know we can call, we know we can send flowers, but money does help because it does help alleviate the strain." Obviously, they had to take off from work because they had to mourn the loss of their child. And their own children had mourned the loss of their own sibling, and for them it was hard to go out, so they used some of that extra money to help clean up the house, hired another housekeeper and stuff like that. And it was just amazing how the community pulled together to get this, to get the family up and running. and how Robert Kraft, from behind the scenes, took the family and really brought them back to life and